Well, good evening, and thank you for taking the time to come and join with me. It is a real privilege to be able to welcome you this evening. My name's Ben, and it's great to be able to come together to do this series of webinars. So thank you for coming and joining with me this evening. This evening's webinar is called What is a Live Stream and How Do I Produce One? And we're going to take a very, very basic look at what a live stream is and how can we start to put one together. This webinar is intended for people who have little or no knowledge and understanding of any technology really, and certainly not of live streaming. We're going to take things very, very slowly just to give you a bit of a picture and an overview of what live streaming is and how you can start to think about putting one together. Now, because this is a basic overview video, we're not going to dig into nuts and bolts and nitty-gritty details. We're going to just keep this fairly light and, as I say, just this big kind of overview picture of what's involved. So if you want to know exactly which settings to set on which device in order to make this work, then this probably isn't the webinar for you. This is just going to be very, very basic introductory level. But we are going to build on this as we go through. We've got a series of webinars over the next 4 weeks, and they are going to build week on week and get more technical. So if you do want that technical detail, then do bear with us because that will be coming in the next few weeks. But for today, it's just going to be simple, light foundation steps to understand what a live stream is and how can we start to put one together. Now, before I go any further, I thought it might be good to start with an introduction and introduce myself. As I say, my name's Ben. I run an audio-visual company called Plugged In Audio Visual, and I live on the outskirts of Sheffield. But I also attend a Baptist church, Swallownest Baptist Church, which is part of the YBA. So I've kind of got two hats on this evening. I've got the hat of being the sort of technical hat, if you like, and understanding the technology. But I also have my church hat on, and I've got the experience of being in a Baptist church in the YBA in this situation. So through the COVID pandemic and all that we've had to do through this time as well. And we too have had to take our church online and look at how we can develop online content for our church in this season. So I've kind of got those two hats on, as I say, and I'm coming from those two places this evening. So hopefully some of what I've got to share with you will be helpful for you as we start to look at moving forwards and moving into the end of 2020, into Christmas, and even into the new year as well, and all that churches are going to need to think through in this coming season. The first 3 of these webinars is going to be pre-recorded and uploaded as a video. But I'm actually going to be watching this video back live, so I am now available in the chat. So why don't you just take a minute to go and say hello? I would love to meet some of you guys and have an opportunity to say hello to you. So please write your name and where you're from in the chat box right now, and I will have an opportunity to say hello to you. But as we go through this evening, there will be opportunities to ask questions. So if you have any questions, if you want to know more about anything that I'm talking about, again, make use of that chat box. Write those questions in the chat box and I will do my best to answer you. There may be some questions that are too in-depth and too detailed for me to deal with this evening, but if that's the case, what I'll do is I'll pass you my contact information and ask for you to get in touch with me, and we can have a conversation about it where I'll probably be able to give you a much better answer to the questions that you're asking. So as I say, this evening's webinar is all about a basic introduction into live streaming. What is a live stream and how do I produce one? And as that title suggests, we're going to break this down into 2 sections. We're going to first of all ask the question, what is a live stream? But then we're going to move on and deal with the second half, which is how do I put one together? So if all of that sounds helpful to you, then that's great, and hopefully you are in the right place. So once again, thanks for coming and joining with me. Let's go straight ahead and start to ask the question, what is a live stream? Now, I think in order to understand this question, what I thought would be good is to just have an understanding of communication and how communication has developed over the years to lead us to this point that we are at now, where we're able to do a live stream. And live streaming is just a form of communication. It's a way of communicating information to people. And so we're just going to rewind back through history for a moment, if you like, and just think about where communication started and how it has progressed and how it has moved forwards to the point where we find ourselves today. So if you like, communication at its kind of least technical point, at its least technical form, would have simply been a face-to-face conversation between two people stood in a room together having a good chat. And obviously that's still a very effective form of communication today, but it has its limitations, because when you have a conversation like that, it can only happen when those two people are in the same place at the same time. Even holding a conversation from the other side of a house can become challenging, let alone when you want to have a conversation between two towns or two cities or even two countries. And so as soon as people become separated by any great distance, having that conversation faces some significant challenges. And so technology started to evolve to enable that to happen, and we saw the introduction of the telephone. And the telephone enabled that two-way conversation to take place at great distances. As I say, cities and even countries, people could be separated by and still hold an effective conversation. However, the downside of telephone was that it was audio only. You couldn't actually see what was happening in those locations. And so people wanted a way of being able to share not just audio with each other, but video as well. And so technology evolved to start to allow that to happen. And we saw the introduction of television. And television enabled people to be able to share video information. You could see images and they could be shared from one person to another. But the downside of television was that communication was just one way. You could capture the information in one place and you could watch it in another place, but you had no way of responding back. It was one-way video communication. And then we saw the introduction of the internet. And the internet allowed for two-way communication to happen effectively over greater distances. And so now anywhere around the world, two people could communicate fairly quickly and easily. But initially that was text-based only. Things like emails could be sent backwards and forwards between two people. As that technology improved and the internet got better, we could see more information being passed with things like photographs, and even audio could go between two people over great distances quite quickly and easily. But today we've progressed on again, and we now see video as one of the biggest things that is consumed on the internet these days. Most people who go online will go online in order to watch some kind of video. And certainly we know that the biggest search engine on the planet right now is Google, and people will very often head to Google to find out pieces of information. But the second biggest search engine on the planet at the moment is YouTube. And people who want to find out information will actually head to YouTube to watch those videos to find out that piece of information that they want to find. And so video communication is huge online at the minute. But obviously the downside of things like YouTube is much like this evening's webinar. It's a pre-recorded video that's then put online for somebody to go and watch. And there's no two-way interaction. It's much more like our television shows that we saw before, except it's now much more accessible to the masses. You don't have to be part of the BBC to produce something to be viewed by somebody else. Anybody can do it from their bedroom. And so we see technology moving forwards again, and we end up in the position where we're now at, where we have live streamed video. And live streamed video is effectively like those YouTube videos or the TV shows that we've spoken about already, But instead of being pre-recorded and then uploaded, it is happening live while I am talking to the camera. It could be viewed by other people in other places around the world. But not only just viewed, there is also the ability to be able to interact with that video. Now, it's not the case, generally speaking, that you can interact with your own video coming back at my video. Normally that interaction will take place with a little chat box like I've mentioned today. We've got the chat box on the side. People can write comments and questions into that chat box, and on a live stream video that could be interactive with. You could ask a question and the person making the video could respond to your question in real time. And so hopefully we can see there how technology has progressed over the years to enable us to get to a point where we can do face-to-face communication, or as close as we can get at this point, with the interaction and high quality video, and it be accessible by many people all over the world as long as they have an internet connection. And live stream video has loads of applications for churches. It gives us the ability to be able to show a church service while it is actually happening to people at their homes who are unable to attend. I mean, even ignoring the COVID pandemic and the lockdown situation and the times in which we find ourselves right now, there are applications for this for people who, either elderly people who can't get into church, or people who are unwell who, again, just physically can't attend a Sunday service. Actually, a live streamed service onto the internet for them to be able to access at home could be really valuable for any number of those types of people. And certainly as we look at the COVID pandemic and lockdown and people being not allowed to go into a church building together, live stream video is such a valuable tool and a valuable resource for churches today. So hopefully there you can see some of how this technology has developed and how we have got to the point that we are now at, where we can live stream a conversation that previously would have required two people to be in the same room together. We can now do this remotely without people being physically in the same place. They can still see what is going on and hear what is going on in real time as if they were together, despite the fact that they are separated. Now it's worth just having a short moment here just to understand a little bit of this technology in order to help us just really understand exactly what is happening here. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go into the technical detail. As I say, that is going to be for a future webinar, but for today we're just going to have a very brief look at the technology and how it works and how it comes together in order that we can understand what is going on with a live stream. So a live stream essentially is two pieces of information coming together to form a feed that is distributed on the internet. So what we see is our camera feed or a video feed of some description. Normally that would be a camera giving us an image, and then some kind of an audio feed, and again normally this would be a microphone, but some kind of audio, some kind of sound, and those two things coming together. So we have images from a camera and sound from a microphone being brought together and forming a feed, and that feed is going to be distributed on the internet. And so we have a live stream feed being fed to the internet. And then once it's on the internet, we can then have multiple people coming together to view that feed online. And as I say, these people don't need to be in the same location. They don't even need to be in the same country. They can be anywhere where there's an internet connection. These people can access that feed and interact with it as well. And in essence, that is what a live stream is. So hopefully that's helped you understand a little bit about what a live stream is. Let's now move on to our second question, which is how do I produce one? Now, in order to understand this, I want to break this down into 4 pieces of technology. There are 4 things that we need to know and then we need to understand in order to create a live stream feed. These are a camera, an audio feed, lighting, and then something that's going to connect us to the internet. Those are the 4 things that we need to have in place in order to be able to produce this feed and deliver it to the internet. Now, before I go into this any further, it's really important to note that next week we're going to do a session that is all going to be about the equipment. And I'm going to dig into nitty-gritty details about the different types of equipment that is available and what you could use and what are the pros and cons for them. But for today, I just want to give a brief overview. As I say, this is just foundational building blocks that I want to share with you today. So if this is of interest to you, do come back next week and let me know some of the equipment that you use. That would be great to know what you guys are doing and how you're using technology at the minute. But I will share with you a lot more detail of this equipment next week. But for now, we'll just have a quick look at these 4 things that we need to just start to get our heads around as we think about producing a live stream. So a camera, first of all, is the first thing that we need. We're going to need to have something that is going to give us that image feed that we can put into our live stream feed to deliver it to the internet. A camera is a device that detects light and converts it into a signal that we can then use. And there are loads of options for cameras, almost a limitless number of camera options available. There are just so many. But for now, I'm going to break them down into 3 categories just to simplify this down and help us to understand it. So first of all, we have built-in cameras. Many devices like tablets or phones and even laptops will often have a little built-in webcam inside of them. And that is a camera, and technically we can use that to produce a live stream with if you so wish. The second option is a camera with a USB feed. Normally this would be a webcam. And again, these are very accessible, very easy to get hold of cameras. And it can be another way for you to get a video feed into your laptop. USB cameras are really easy to connect into a laptop. Most laptops and computers will have a USB port in them, and so you can plug them in. It doesn't matter whether it's Windows or Apple or anything else. It could be a desktop, it could be a laptop. They're all very compatible and will just work with pretty much any computer you have. The final way to get a video feed into your laptop is to use some type of a camera with an HDMI feed out of it. Now this is going to be the best type of camera that you can use. If you want to get a high quality video stream, a camera with some type of an HDMI output on it is going to give you the best results. But there is one big thing that you need to know, and I have this conversation with a number of people. It often seems to trip people up. Your HDMI feed on your camera is an output, and your HDMI connector on your laptop is also an output. And when you're connecting 2 pieces of technical equipment together, you always need to go from an output to an input. You can't connect an output to another output, it won't work. So a camera with an HDMI feed, although it will give you the best quality results, won't connect directly into a computer or a laptop. You will need to have another type of device to interface between those 2 things to make that connection possible. Sometimes we'll call this a capture card, but there are other devices that are available that you can use that will do this for you. One particular device that I really recommend is called the Blackmagic Atom Mini Pro, and it's a fantastic piece of kit for churches, but I'll dig into the details of that again next week for you. So once you've chosen what type of camera you want to use, you're probably also going to need some type of support to hold your camera. Normally this will be a tripod, but there are other options as well. If you're not going to go for a tripod mounted camera, there are robotic cameras. Sometimes we call them PTZ cameras. It stands for pan, tilt and zoom. And these robotic cameras can move automatically around to give you different camera angles, and they would normally be wall mounted, so you'll have a special bracket to screw them to the wall. These cameras can be useful at times, but they're also generally a lot more expensive, and they can be a little bit more limited in the sense that they can only really be used for live streaming. You won't really be able to record with a type of camera like this, so if you ever did want to do any filming and record any video, you would then still need another camera as well. Now, we'll spend a lot longer looking at cameras next week, but for now, let's move on and start to look at some of the other things as well. So audio. Audio is such an important part of a video signal. As I say, when we create a live stream, we need to combine a video and an audio signal together to form our live stream to deliver it across the internet. And so we need to make sure that audio is as good as it possibly can be, because audio is one of the most off-putting things for people. If a video feed has bad audio, people will tune out very, very quickly and they won't pay attention to what you're saying. I've actually produced a video detailing this on my own YouTube channel, which I can put a link to below if you want to go and check it out. But it is so important that you make sure you have good quality audio for your video feed when you're doing a live stream. Now again, here we have three options of how we can get our audio into our live stream, but one of them I would recommend that we just discount straight from the beginning. So as with cameras, we had the ability to be able to take a built-in camera built into a device. Again, most of these devices will also have built-in audio, and you can take an audio feed straight off one of these devices. However, I would straight away say, don't try and do that. The audio on one of these devices is really intended for somebody to be holding this device and using it this close to their face. That's how it will pick up the audio. As soon as you put this into a church building where it's going to be much further away from somebody, that audio is just going to get lost. Also, the fact that church buildings are generally much bigger than a home means that they're a lot more echoey generally anyway, and that audio is just going to struggle so much on a built-in audio microphone like the one inside this tablet. So anytime you have any built-in microphone, whether it's a laptop, a tablet, a mobile phone, any built-in microphone into any of those devices is not really going to work in a church situation. And I would just say avoid at all costs. Always look to upgrade your audio with one of these other two methods. Now, the good news is that most churches generally have some type of a PA system with a variety of microphones, maybe radio microphones and that sort of thing. And any of that generally can be used quite easily for creating a live stream audio feed. So you might already have everything you need to connect your audio into your computer to generate your live stream. In some cases, there might be a small adjustment that needs to be made to make that possible. But if you have any kind of PA system, then you're probably already at least 80 or 90% of the way of being able to produce that already. So if you already have some type of a PA system, maybe just get in touch with me and I can just talk you through what you need to do in order to make that audio available for a live stream feed. So the third and final way that you can improve your audio to get some good quality audio for your live stream is to use a little shotgun mic. These microphones come in all shapes and sizes and are really good at picking up sound from a greater distance. So when you have a bigger space and your microphone is physically further away from you, a shotgun mic will work really, really well at picking up that sound clearly and accurately and providing you a nice sounding audio feed. These microphones can often either be attached directly to a camera or to be fed through some other type of device into a laptop or into a device for streaming with. But they're very easy and very cost effective and work really well and will pick up your audio very, very cleanly. That's in fact what I've got up here and have been using to record this audio with for you today. So that's one audio feed to be avoided, two options that are going to work well for you. And as I say, you might well have most of what you need already to be able to do that. So we move on again, and this time we're going to look at lighting. Lighting is also really important when you're doing anything with video. Cameras work by picking up light and converting it into a signal that we can then use. And that means that in order for a camera to work, it needs to have light available for it to pick up. Cameras also are not hugely effective at picking up light. They're certainly nowhere near as effective as the human eye. And so in the past, where you may have had light that was absolutely fine for you to see by and you could walk through your building quite happily without tripping over or anything like that, actually a camera might struggle a lot more in that situation. You really need to push those light levels up a lot more to make those cameras work effectively. Now the good news here is that one of the best sources of light for making video with is daylight. And if you can allow daylight into your building, that can be a really effective way of boosting your light levels and making your cameras more effective. So maybe opening blinds and opening curtains to allow some daylight into the room to be able to light your stage and to just create more light in the room for those cameras to pick up and to work with. However, if that's not possible for you, you may need to add some additional lighting. But LED lights now are very affordable and very effective, and they can be a really great way to be able to add some extra light into your room for those cameras to be able to pick up more effectively. Now, as I say, our goal here is that we have a video feed and an audio feed, and we combine them together to feed them onto the internet. And so we need to have something that is going to end up getting our signals onto the internet for us. And so the fourth and final thing that you need to think about when you're producing a live stream is, how do we get our signal onto the internet? Now, once again here, we have three options of how we can get something connected to the internet. If you go down the built-in camera route, the device that it's connected to will probably be connected to the internet as well. So this tablet could take my video feed from the camera, connect to the internet. I could feed an audio source in here from my other microphones and then produce my live stream off this tablet and send it straight to the internet. So I could have a built-in device with everything all enabled. We just feed the audio in and off it goes straight off to the internet from this device. And that would be true for a number of different devices. So laptops, mobile phones, tablets, all of those things can all connect to the internet. And you could use that method for any number of those devices. The second option you could use is to connect via a computer, either a desktop or a laptop, it doesn't really matter. Take your video feed, take your audio feed, connect them into the computer, and then do your live stream off your computer. And there's a really good free piece of software that will enable you to do that called OBS. And OBS is just a free download from the website. Again, I can put the link in the description below, so have a look at that if you want to do your live stream this way. However, do be aware that if you're going to go down this route, OBS requires your computer to have quite a high level of capability. You need to have a fairly reasonable computer to handle a live stream video. So if you are going to go down that route, do make sure that your computer is capable of handling it. The third and final way of connecting your live stream feed to the internet is by using the Blackmagic Atom Mini Pro that I mentioned to you earlier on. This device has HDMI inputs that can take feeds from your cameras, but it also has an internet connection and it can be plugged directly into the internet. And this device is able to manage your internet feed for you. So this can take your audio and your video and stream it straight to the internet, and it can handle all of that for you without you needing any additional equipment. So it's a really great device for churches who want to look at doing live stream. It has all the features in there that churches are going to possibly need to be able to do a live stream. And it does it really, really well and really, really easily. This is something that I would really strongly recommend that you take a look at, because it's a very effective way for churches who want to start live streaming their services. So that's it for today. We're not going to go into any more of the technical details than that. As I say, next week we're going to really dig into the technical details of those specific pieces of equipment. So please come back and join me then, and we will really look at the nuts and bolts of what you need to know about all of that equipment to make it all work. But for today, that is it. I'm going to hang around in the chat for a little while after this presentation is finished, so if you do have any questions, please stay and chat to me in the chat box. And as I say, it might be that I need to just pass my details over to you, but I'm more than happy to do that. So thank you for joining with me this evening. Hopefully I'll see you again next week, and hopefully that has been useful for you. If it has, please consider liking and subscribing to the YBA channel, and then you can also hit the little bell notification icon and you will get a notification when the next of these webinars is available. Also, feel free to share this video with anybody either from your church who's been unable to make it this evening, or with people from other churches who you feel might benefit from watching this as well. But that's all for now. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you again next week.